The bass reverberated through the walls of Club Inferno, sending waves of heat through the crowd. The air was thick with the scent of expensive liquor, faint traces of perfume, and the unmistakable thrill of the night. You weren't sure how many drinks you had had, but you weren't counting. Tonight wasn't about thinking, it was about feeling, and he was all you could feel. Seated in the VIP section a few feet away from you was a man so dangerously attractive that even in a room full of elite men, he stood out like a king among pawns. Dressed in all black, his tailored shirt hugged his broad shoulders, the sleeves rolled up just enough to reveal veins that traced down to his tattooed hands. His fingers lazily drummed against his glass of whiskey as he leaned back, exuding an effortless dominance that made everyone else look small. You didn't know him, but something told you that even if you asked around, no one here would dare speak his name carelessly. He was the kind of man who didn't have to seek attention, it was given to him. Women stole glances at him, some bold enough to approach, but he dismissed them with a single glance. His presence alone was a warning. Untouchable, unbothered, and yet you were staring. Sitting at the bar, a drink in hand, you tried to look anywhere but at him and failed. Your eyes dragged over his sharp jawline, the way his lips rested in that natural pout, and the deadly intensity in his gaze whenever someone passed by. He was a walking contradiction, both still and alert, relaxed yet terrifyingly dangerous. It didn't make sense. You were tipsy. No, you were drunk. But something about him made you reckless. Maybe it was the alcohol. Maybe it was the way he hadn't looked at you yet. But that was about to change. You set your empty glass down and slid off the bar stool, your heels clicking against the marble floor as you made your way towards him. Jungkook noticed you before you even reached him. His gaze flickered up, locking onto you with a sharpness that sent a thrill through your spine. You smiled. How come a breathtakingly handsome man is sitting here and no woman is all over him? He didn't say anything, but his eyes didn't leave your face. You were bold and daring enough to not notice that no one in the club dared to come near him. You placed a hand on his table, tilting your head with a slow, sultry smile. Well, this is new. Jungkook arched a brow, swirling his drink. What is? A man like this. You let your eyes shamelessly rake down his body before meeting his gaze again, sitting alone in a club like this. His lips twitched slightly, and what exactly does a man like this look like? You leaned in just a little, your fingers grazing the rim of his glass as you smiled. Dangerous. Your gaze fell on his tattoos, expensive, and the kind of man that usually has women crawling all over him. Jungkook took a slow sip of his drink, eyes locked on yours over the rim of his glass. Maybe I'm not interested. Oh baby, you placed a hand on your chest mockingly. Are you trying to break my heart already? Jungkook exhaled through his nose, setting his glass down. You are bold. You dragged your fingers along the side of his sleeve, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath your touch. You have no idea. Jungkook's tongue flicked over his lower lip, brief, subtle, but deadly. Then tell me, why are you alone? You leaned in closer, lowering your voice just enough to make it intimate. Oh baby, you let your breath fan against his ear before whispering, I was waiting for you. Jungkook's grip on his glass tightened ever so slightly, a reaction finally. He didn't say anything, just studied you, gaze dropping ever so briefly to your lips before flicking back up. Smiling, you pulled away, dragging your fingers along his wrist before slipping into the seat beside him. Well, you teased, crossing your legs. Did I earn my spot or do I have to work harder for it? Jungkook chuckled under his breath, shaking his head slightly. Careful, you might just get exactly what you are asking for. You laughed a little. Oh, sweetheart. That's exactly what you were hoping for. You were completely out of your senses and didn't know whether you'll regret this night or not when you'll be back in your senses, but you just didn't want this one to slip away tonight. You are picky, aren't you? Or do you just prefer? You paused, trailing a finger up his sleeve when woman makes the first move. Jungkook's eyes darkened slightly and your smirk widened. Still, he didn't say anything, so you decided to push further. What is it? Are you enjoying this? Or are you trying really, really hard not to grab my waist and pull me onto your lap? Jungkook's grip on his glass tightened. A slow smirk spread across your lips. You don't talk much, huh? Finally he spoke and you again get to hear his deep, godly voice. I don't waste words. His voice was deep, controlled, dangerous. Your stomach flipped. Still, you kept your composure, tilting your head with a slow, teasing grin. Oh, then tell me. You dragged your nails slightly over his wrist. What's worth talking about? Jungkook held your gaze, then slowly he leaned in, just slightly. You tell me, he murmured, making your breath hitch. Just for a second, but he caught it. His smirk widened, barely there, but undeniable. You scoffed lightly, shaking your head. Oh, you are good. Jungkook's brows raised. Am I? You exhaled a soft laugh, fingers trailing up his sleeve. Tell me something, handsome. Do you let every girl flirt with you like this? Jungkook exhaled softly, tilting his head. Do you flirt with every man like this? Your lips curled. Only the ones I want, and I swear I would never want anything in my life if I get a man like you. No, not like you, only you. Jungkook chuckled just once. Careful what you wish for. Who knows you get what you're wishing for? Your smirk widened. I will forever be grateful. A chuckle left his mouth. He was enjoying this. Confident, aren't you? You ran a finger down his sleeve, tracing the veins of his hand. I don't play games, I don't win, sweetheart. Jungkook hummed, finally shifting, finally engaging. He leaned back, watching you like you were a puzzle he wanted to take part. Interesting. And tell me, what exactly do you think you are winning? You grinned, then without hesitation, you swung one leg over, settling yourself in his lap like you had done it 1,000 times before. Jungkook stiffened, only for a second, but he felt it, felt the slight intake of breath, the way his fingers flexed against his thigh, like he was holding back. Your fingers toyed with the buttons of his jacket, eyes locked onto his. Oh, sweetheart, I already won. Jungkook let out a low chuckle, shaking his head. Dangerous girl. You leaned in, lips brushing against his ear. Then why are your hands on my waist? Jungkook froze, then slowly his fingers pressed into your skin, pulling you just a little closer. Because, darling, you asked for it. Jungkook's grip on your waist tightened just a little, just enough to let you know that while you were playing with him, he was very much in control. But that only made you grin because, God, you liked a challenge. Your fingers trailed up his chest, slowly, deliberately feeling the hard muscle beneath his expensive suit. You hold me like you own me. Should I be concerned, Mr. Mystery? Jungkook's smirk widened, but he still didn't answer. Instead, he let you keep going, let you think you were in charge, let you talk while he just watched, and that made you even bolder. You tilted your head, lowering your voice just enough to make it dangerous. Are you this silent with all women, or am I special? Jungkook's lips twitched. Very special. You hummed, your nails tracing his collarbone through his shirt. Hmm, you say that, but you still haven't asked for my name. I don't need to. You raised a brow. Oh, and why is that? Jungkook leaned in slightly, his nose almost brushing yours. Because I already know it. Your heart startled, but only for a second. Then you laughed, tilting your head back. Oh, so you have been watching me. You pressed your hands to his chest, leaning in slightly like you were about to expose him. Do tell, Mr. Mystery, what else do you know? Jungkook didn't blink, didn't even hesitate. You drink tequila like it's water. Your lips curled, correct. You like to talk a lot when you are tipsy. Your smile widened, very correct. And he murmured, his fingers tracing small circles against your waist. You have no idea who I am. You stilled only for a second, then you smiled. Oh, baby, you said, pressing your forehead against his. I don't need to know who you are to know you want me. Jungkook exhaled sharply, not in frustration. No, it was something much darker, something far more entertained. He was enjoying this, enjoying that you had no clue who he really was, enjoying how shamelessly you were throwing yourself at him, enjoying how you thought this was just one night thrill. If only you knew, if only you knew that he already owned you. But he wouldn't tell you. No, he would let you keep playing, and when you finally found out, he was going to enjoy that even more, but for now, he let his lips ghost over your ear, his voice low and dangerous. Keep going, sweetheart. He leaned back, watching you with dark amusement. Let's see just how bold you can get. Your grin widened at his words. Keep going, sweetheart. Oh, you would. You absolutely would. You tilted your head, running your fingers along his collar like you had all the time in the world. Careful, Mr. Mystery. A man like you telling me to keep going. Your voice dipped lower, your lips nearly brushing his ear. That sounds like an invitation. Jungkook didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't do anything but watch you with that same amused, slightly dangerous look, the kind that made your stomach twist in a way it definitely shouldn't. His fingers were still on your waist, holding you in place like he had decided you weren't allowed to leave, and yet he hadn't pulled you closer either. That only made you more determined. You ran a slow finger down his chest, your touch feather light. You're really not gonna stop me, huh? Jungkook smirked, tilting his head slightly. Why would I? Your breath hitched, but only for a second. Then you let out a soft hum, tapping a finger against his chest. Most men would be on their knees by now. I'm not most men. Oh, you like that answer. Your eyes dropped to his lips, then back to his eyes. That I can tell. Jungkook let his gaze drop too, just for a moment before flicking back up to meet yours, a barely there smirk playing at his lips. God, he was so unfair. You weren't used to men like him, men who didn't crack, men who didn't fall apart the second you turned the charm on. But that's what made this fun. You leaned in again, brushing your lips near his ear, voice dripping with mischief. You know, most men would have kissed me by now. Jungkook exhaled slowly, his grip on your waist tightening for a fraction of a second. Most men don't know how to make a woman wait. Your breath hitched. That was good. That was very good. A slow grin spread across your lips and you pulled back just enough to look into his eyes. So you're saying you'll make me wait? Jungkook's smirk deepened. I'm saying you'll beg for it first. Your heart jumped, and for the first time tonight you had nothing to say. For the first time tonight you were the one feeling the heat crawl up your neck, the one feeling slightly out of control, the one caught in a game you started. And Jungkook knew it. He saw it, and he was enjoying every second of it. But before you could fire back, before you could recover, Jungkook leaned back, one arm draped over the back of the booth, looking every bit like he owned the world, like he owned you. Like he hadn't just flipped the entire script, like he hadn't just knocked you completely off your game. Your lips parted in disbelief, your ego taking a hit for the first time in years. Jungkook just sat there, smirking, silent, watching, and suddenly you wanted to win. You wanted to wipe that smug look off his stupid, unfairly gorgeous face, but before you could make your move, a voice cut through the air. Boss, time to go.
What do you expect me to say? You know that I will always find a way to fuck up everything that we ever made. Some people
You blinked, turning towards the man who had spoken, one of the club's security guards. Boss? You frowned, looking back at Jungkook. Wait, you are in charge here?
change, but you know I won't. Maria,
Jungkook smiled lazily, standing up and adjusting his suit. Something like that. Before you could ask what that meant, before you could demand answers, he leaned down, his lips just a breath away from yours. Then, with the softest, most smug tone you had ever heard, we'll meet soon. Good night, sweetheart.
expect me to do? Push you away when we're both feeling blue. No lies can help.
And then he was gone, leaving you standing there, hot, bothered, and very, very annoyed because somehow you had lost and you hated losing.
Knows that the ending is cursed. This ship is sinking, so just say the words.
The next morning, you groaned, rolling over and immediately regretting every single life choice you had made last night. Your head was aching terribly because of the amount of tequilas you literally gulped like water. Your hand was pounding, your dress was half off, and your phone blowing up with texts from your father. We need to talk now. Did you meet him? He agreed to the marriage. We'll meet him again soon. Your eyes widened. Your father had been talking about some arranged marriage nonsense for weeks, but you hadn't cared. You hadn't paid attention. You had been too busy living your life to care about who he wanted you to marry. But now your heart stopped because attached to the last text was a photo. A photo of your future husband, a photo of the man from last night, the one you had flirted with shamelessly. The one you had touched, teased, practically begged to kiss you. The one who had called you sweetheart and left you hot and bothered. The Mafia Boss. And the man you were about to marry. You stared at the photo, your phone slipping slightly from your grip as the reality of the situation sank in. You squeezed your eyes shut, took a deep breath, and then opened them again, hoping, praying that somehow the universe had decided to play a cruel joke on you. No. Jungkook's unfairly gorgeous, infuriatingly smug face still stared back at you from the screen. Dressed in a sharp suit, his gaze just as piercing as it had been last night. No, 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 this is a joke. This is sick, twisted, horrible joke, you said, blinking rapidly, gripping your phone like it personally betrayed you. There's no way. There is absolutely no way. Your finger shook as you scrolled up, eyes darting between your father's messages and the photo on your screen, hoping, praying that somehow this wasn't real. Of all the men in this goddamn country, of all the men in the goddamn world, why him? You practically yelled, your voice bouncing off the walls of your empty room. Your pulse was racing, panic settling down in your bones. Maybe this is a misunderstanding. Maybe it's another Jungkook. Maybe your voice trailed off as you stared at the picture again. Nope. Same smug face, same piercing gaze, same unfairly sharp jawline. You groaned, pressing a hand to your forehead. Wait, what the hell does he mean? He agreed. Your eyes darted back to your father's text, rereading it like the words might rearrange themselves into something less horrifying. I didn't even agree. How is there an agreement without my damn agreement? You screeched, throwing your phone onto the bed as if it carried the curse of your impending doom. Okay, okay, let's think. Let's think. You took a deep breath, pacing back and forth, running a hand through your hair. Your brain felt like it was short circuiting.
What do you expect me to say? You know that I will
So
always
last
find
night,
a
I
way.
met a hot,
Forget
mysterious man.
everything
I
that we
flirted with
ever
him.
made.
You
People
paused,
change and some
your heart
people
lurching as the events of last
don't
night
give
came
it
rushing
enough
back.
shots. We've had enough, I think it's time to stop. I fucked up everything
Oh
we
my
ever
god, I
made.
practically
Some
begged him
people
to kiss
change,
me.
but you
You
know I
whispered in
won't.
horror, your hands slowly covering your face
Maria,
as
I
secondhand embarrassment
wanna
hit you like a truck.
make everything okay. Don't trust me, forgive me. You
And
have to find a
he
way.
knew the whole time. You groaned,
Maria,
collapsing onto the
I
bed, putting your
wanna
face into the
make
pillow.
everything
Shame
okay.
burned through you like fire.
Don't trust me, believe me. You have to run
Wait,
away.
that means, oh my god, that means
What
he
do you
left
expect me
knowing
to
he was
do?
my
Push
fiance?
you
You
away
suddenly
when
shot
you
up,
feel
eyes wide, your
okay.
brain
Please
finally
tell
connecting
me
the
what
dots.
you're going through. Some things can change, but you know I
And he
won't.
was smirking, your
Why
jaw
come I wait
clenched,
for the
rage
reason
mixing
to
with
break?
humiliation. The
Don't say
memory
we
of
had
that
to
damn
be
smirk
friends at
flashed through your
first.
mind,
Two
and
things
you
I
grabbed a
can't do
pillow,
at
throwing
once.
it across
Some
the
things can
room.
change, but you know I won't. Maria, I
I
wanna
think I'm gonna pass
make
out. I think
everything
I'm
okay.
actually going to die right here
Don't
in
trust
my
me,
bed from secondhand
forgive me.
embarrassment.
You
You
have to find
flopped
a
back
way.
onto the mattress, staring blankly at the
Maria,
ceiling,
I
completely and
wanna
utterly defeated.
make everything okay. Don't trust me,
There is no
believe me.
coming back from this.
You have to run away.
I have lost so badly. You whispered, feeling the weight of humiliation press down on you like a ton of bricks. And he knows it. Your stomach twisted at the thought. He knew, he definitely knew, and he was probably enjoying every second of it. Just as you were contemplating packing your bags, faking your own death, and starting a new life as a goat farmer in the mountains, your phone burst a new message from an unknown number. Morning, sweetheart. Your heart stopped. Hungover or just thinking about me? Your soul left your body.